Hello everyone and welcome. In this workshop we are going to be talking about finding new markets for your PLR. This is something that I have covered in the past, but I want to remind everyone that there are markets other than being able to just market to people online. You can actually remain online and market to people offline, and so we want to touch on that here in this session. In particular, those of you who have a video PLR and that you can really start to find these new markets. So we're going to talk about how to think about PLR offline and then remain online. So let's talk about first what to do with video PLR. And as you know, when you've got business video content, it's always going to help you open up people to tell you what they really want and need. Now, what do I mean by that? Basically, you should already have some kind of web presence, right? You should already have a web presence that has some kind of USP where you have something that people can't get elsewhere. You should already have a business website that has a slant. In other words, you're directed towards something. So you're not just helping people in general with their business, you're helping people with a particular kind of problem. So it's not just that you have Facebook marketing, you've got Facebook marketing for authors, you've got Facebook marketing for plumbers, you've got Facebook marketing for consultants, or you've got Facebook marketing for real estate agents. It really doesn't matter, but you've got a slant. And you have some area of expertise. So your web presence or your website ought to reflect these three things. So before we even get started with that, these are the things you want to have in place. And then what you're basically going to be doing with your PLR when you start thinking in this way is you're retitling your course. And I'm not even so much talking about redoing graphics, but you're definitely retitling the course. Retitling the course to be directed toward your slant or niche. So you are saying that it's going to be Facebook marketing for, in this case, real estate agents or whatever the slant is. It's going to be directed towards your emphasis. So you don't have to necessarily have a particular niche, but it can be directed toward an emphasis that you're focusing on. So you can direct your PLR in a series that you're doing at a particular point in time. You can be talking about for the summer. You could be talking about for the holidays. So it can be directed toward an emphasis just as long as it's not just, let's say, Facebook marketing. You're talking about Facebook marketing with an emphasis that really does give it some kind of USP. You're going to be directed towards your follow-up products. So in other words, you're doing this in a series of products. So it's maybe, a series of social media products where you're going to be covering social media in the holiday season, or social media for the summer, or social media for, the online market or offline market. In other words, you're retitling your courses for the particular emphasis that you're going to be giving. So let's talk about how you'd redo it based on a niche. In particular, we'll talk about if you were going to use StreamYard PLR to do this. So let's say you're going to redirect StreamYard towards self-publishing. So you'd be doing StreamYard for self-published authors. You wouldn't just be selling a StreamYard course, and in this case, it wouldn't even have to necessarily be your particular niche, but you're going to be covering this in an emphasis. And you'd be saying, you'd be helping, let's say, authors to learn how to do podcasts to extend their reach. Maybe you'd be showing them how to do virtual book tours. So what you're doing is you're giving them different ways and ideas, and you're giving them an idea or a need for them to have to learn how to use the course that you're going to be selling. And basically, what's the benefit? That's the most important thing. Now, those are just two ideas. You don't have to do those things. You wouldn't necessarily even have to do those things for authors. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to benefit them. By telling them they're going to be able to expand their reach if they will invest in the product or the course that you're going to be giving them. They're going to be able to have an alternative to their own content creation. So for self-published authors, this is going to be a big deal because they want to continue writing and they don't want to go through having to create videos and getting on YouTube. But you want to show them how they can create content very easily, and that's one of the aspects. That's one of the benefits of them learning how to use StreamYard. So basically, what are you doing? When you look at a particular market or slant, you're going to first look at what's going to be the biggest benefit to them. I've just mentioned two benefits to self-published authors. You may be able to think of others for that niche or particular niches that you might be involved in. So, what are those problems of self-published authors? What are the problems of those who are trying to get readers right now? So, in other words, typically every self-published author that I've ever met, they're trying to expand their reach of readers. So, how are they trying to do that? What are the problems of those people trying to promote their second book? Maybe they had a big success the first time and it took all their energy and it was all the newness. And everybody kind of rushed to them and flocked to them because it was their first book. But the second book is going to be different. And so what they've got to do is they've got to gin up a lot of extra energy, but you're going to help them to do that using StreamYard. What are the problems of those people who want to build their audience? Right? So maybe it's not so much they got people to buy their first book, but they've got people they want to give books to on a continual basis. So they've got to build their audience. So how do they do that? You're trying to give them a benefit. So what you're doing all the time is you're looking at the benefit to the particular market or niche that you're going to be selling a particular video PLR course to. So how do you structure an offer to them? Basically, one thing you could do is you could set up StreamYard for a fee. You wouldn't even have to sell the course. Basically, you're going to be using the content, right? You're going to give them the content because they're going to allow you to set up StreamYard and you're going to charge a fee. In other words, what you can do is you could actually do the graphics for them, right? You could actually go and get the overlays and everything that they're going to need in order to use StreamYard. You can do their lead generation. You're going to show them how to set that up so that every time they do a StreamYard, they're going to be actually collecting leads. You want to be able to coach through the promotional process, right? So how do you coach through a promotional process? Or you're going to be basically teaching the entire course. That's another way to structure the offer. You could actually give them access to the online course, right? You can just sell it to them outright. Or you could either, just think of it this way, right? You could deliver service. Or you could deliver the course and a service. So in other words, you're going to deliver the service, but you're going to give them the course so that they understand what you're doing. Or you're going to deliver some kind of monthly coaching to them, and you're going to give them access to all your courses while they stay with you. So in other words, you're going to have a little higher price for coaching. You're going to be giving them some directions on things they need to be doing at the same time while they need those directions. They're going to get them from the member area that you're going to give them access to while you're coaching with them. It's a great benefit for them to have, right? Then after the coaching is over, you can actually have them pay for just access to the member area, right? It's a great way of being able to structure an offer to a learning center. Get them used to it during your coaching and then saying, if you want to retain the access, we'll continue to retain the access for obviously less than the personal coaching, and they're now going to be a subscriber to your learning center. Now, I know a lot of you don't necessarily want to do consulting and you don't want to be in person, and that's not what I'm talking about here, but you do need to know where the market is hanging out. You need to know that every offline market is different. And so you've got to be looking for the business opportunity seekers, right? So you're not going to be looking at necessarily people who own brick and mortar businesses. Business opportunity seekers are going to be the most likely enthusiastic information product buyers. They're going to be looking for low pricing, so you've got to be aware of that. They might be ambivalent toward done for you. So in other words, if you're trying to convince them you're going to do everything for them, they're not necessarily going to be all that interested in that. And this is a market that you're looking for offline. You've got to find consultants and coaches. And these are typically going to be people who are, let's say, single business owners, but they are providing their service. They're looking for opportunities in order to not only build their knowledge base, but also to be able to have products of their own. They're going to understand the need to have the product that you're going to be selling. They're going to be willing to pay a higher price for something that's going to be a little more, in order. So in other words, you might be able to string together a number of courses to sell them in a bundle because single business owners will understand the value of that, right? Having the value of an on-demand course. Now, of course, you can look for brick and mortar business owners. They're going to be most willing to go to a workshop. The reason is because they understand that they've got to be willing to walk away with a skill and being able to know how to do something so they can teach the people in their business, right? So they don't just want to have a course just to have it. That's going to be the difference between someone who's running their business and, let's say, someone who is a single business owner. Typically, you're going to find a consultant or a coach or someone who is going to be, let's say, a single business owner. They're going to want to have that course on demand, something that they can go back and refer to. If you're talking about a brick and mortar business owner, they're going to want to have a workshop typically. They're going to want to have something where you've taught them something, that you've shown them how to do it. And then they can walk away and then be able to reproduce what it is that you're showing them how to do. They're going to be open to a higher price point. So remember, you're trying to close the loop with these people. You're trying to make sure that they've actually learned. You might even give them some kind of follow-up as part of the process, but you're going to charge them a little more. So when you think about these kinds of markets, you've got to be able to think differently in terms of the way you're going to structure the offer. And a brick and mortar business owner is actually going to want you to do part of the process. On the one hand, a single business owner, they're going to want to have the knowledge, DIY, right? So they're going to want to be able to do it themselves. A brick and mortar business owner, they're going to want you to do most of the project for them, or at the very least show them exactly what to do so they can give it to somebody else on their team to do it. So you've just got to be ready to be able to deliver your content. And again, you don't necessarily have to be in person, but you've got to be able to deliver to the people who are going to want the kind of content that you have in the form that they're going to be wanting it in order to use it. So you're going to have to find out where these folks are hanging out online. Once you figure out who your target customer is, you've got to find out where they're hanging out. Maybe they're going to be part of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, your Chamber of Commerce might be meeting online. You've got to find out how to get plugged in. They're going to be at networking events, both BNI and PRI. They're now meeting online fully, right? You might need to get plugged into a group like that. Meetup.com now meets fully online. You might need to start a meetup. I think it's like $25 a month. It's even probably going to be cheaper than doing, let's say, BNI. You might have an alumni society depending on where you graduated. They might be in your city. You might be able to get access to them. You might be able to get access to SCORE also. And there is a website called Alignable that you're going to be able to become part of. And there are going to be people that are going to be open to the kinds of opportunities you're going to be doing and the educational opportunities you're putting together. What do these people read? Find out what the local business paper is. You got to find out what that paper is and all the opportunities that they're going to give you in order to get in front of the people. Right now, again, depending on who your target market is, they might not be the ones who read that paper, right? So if I were looking for an information product buyer, I might not necessarily target that paper. I might find out what's happening in the city and not necessarily going to target that paper with advertising dollars, because the customer that I'd be looking for may or may not be reading that paper. But it's going to give you some great opportunities to find out where the events are, where the things are that you need to be at. The local newspaper. In some cases, information product buyers, they're going to be reading that local newspaper. In some cases they are, in some cases they aren't. If they're interested in business, if they're interested in reaching local customers, they might be willing to read that paper. And if you've got business content, you're going to be working with business people. And they're typically going to be looking to reaching their customers. That's what you're going to be showing them how to do. They're going to be reading your local newspaper. The neighborhood news. Now, these are little newspapers. There are not going to be as many that are going to be physical, but they're still out there. And some of them are operating fully online, and you might need to get access. Now, you got to understand what their business model is, right? What are they doing? What they're doing is they're getting the audience, and they're getting advertisers in order to be with them for the fact that they can reach that audience, right? So in some ways, you're going to be in a bit of competition with them, but you can find out what they're doing. Where do the business people look online? Where are they looking? They're looking at Craigslist, right? They're going to be looking at Facebook. So you need to find out what those local groups are and how you can plug into them. Do these people watch television, right? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. What do they listen to? Do they listen to podcasts? Do they listen to radio? You can find out what it is that they're going to be doing. You're going to be offering them access to your weekly training. And you should be driving all people all the time to your landing page. Don't just drive them to your website. You should be driving them to something that has a compelling title, whatever the next workshop is you're going to be doing. You should have a simultaneous opt-in. In other words, when they opt in to come to your weekly workshop, you should be automatically putting them on your list. So make sure you're setting them up. So yeah, they're going to register for the workshop, and it's automated so that when the person signs up, they're automatically added to your list, right? Make sure you're emailing them about the session, whatever it is the weekly workshop is about. And then if you're going to run an automated webinar, I don't suggest that if you're going to be working with local people. Just make sure you spell that out, that it's going to be automated. And then just keep encouraging people to come back every week. If you're going to be doing a pitch, don't do that during your weekly workshop in your training. For example, say you're doing a Tuesday training. And then you're going to have, let's say on Thursday night, you're going to do a special presentation. That's how you would then do your pitch webinar, right? So again, make sure you're driving people all the time to your opt-in and to your webinars. Okay, any questions? So this has been a brief little training here, and I just wanted to give you some insight on some things you can be doing with your video PLR within your local area. Okay, remember, you can get access to our newsletter at IamProfitsCoach.com. And if you are actually interested in learning how to use StreamYard for your business, my team has put together a training course that you can get for free by going to impc.ws/SY if you're interested in that. Also, be sure to take a look at our Digital Retirement Rebels Insiders Club at impc.ws/14day. Okay, so with that, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. Take care.